I'm back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ready to kill this one for you. And I had a parent ask me probably a week ago, and they said, Kyle, you keep talking about development, but I don't know what that means. I've never been in soccer in my life, football, what I call it, and I don't know what I should be looking for when it comes to my child's soccer club, coach, and whatnot. So I'm going to try and walk you through what I would define as development and how I define development when it comes to joining a soccer club or a soccer team. So I'm going to walk you through, and hopefully this will empower you to make better decisions when it comes to, as you know, it's trial season right now, so I'm trying to put out a lot of content to help you guys. Now, there's a bunch of key things we're going to be looking at, and again, I'm going to try and frame this as if I was a parent and knowing what I know now, this is the kind of stuff that you should be looking for, and then I'll explain in further detail shortly. Okay? So you can see it on screen. Our goal today is we're going to be defining development. And I'm going to be focusing specifically on U6 to U10 and U11 and U12. So this is what we would call 7v7 and 9v9 age groups. So I'm specifically trying to touch on below, I should say 7v7 and below, up to 9v9. That's what we're trying to focus on when we're talking about defining development. Okay, and so I think there's three main things that go into this, and there's one more key part that I'm going to write for you in a second. So we're going to talk about training style and focus, game model and playing philosophy, and then coach interactions. But the key thing with this whole thing is we want to say, let's call it player-centric, right? The player is the key. So, player-centric. The focus of the entire time when it comes to this age range, right? So U6, I'll make sure I define this for you. U6, U8, U11, U12. My humble opinion is player-centric. This means the focus needs to be about the player, and I'm going to also write this keyword here for you. Individual development. Okay, so now we've kind of worked this out, right? So, we want it to be a player-centric environment focused on individual development, and these are the three main pieces to it. Training style and focus, game model and playing philosophy, and then coach interactions. I'm going to break this down step by step to show you what I'm specifically talking about. Now, before I can show you that, though, I need to talk about the other side, right? So, what do most teams do? And this is what I talk about, with the 97%. So you've seen me talk about 3%, 97%. It's not everybody, but it's most places that are going to do this. What do most teams do? Kickball. So they're going to hear boot it, kick it, send it, clear it, smash it, shoot it. Like we had a kid get over half the other day at a tournament, and parents, and this poor kid, super skilled, but he doesn't have a leg to shoot outside of, say, 15 yards, and parents are telling him from 40 yards out to shoot it. And it's like, dude, come on. Anyways, back to the point. All right, you're going to hear things about kickball, which means the ball is in the air. The team is going to boot it. They're going to kick it. They're going to smash it. They're going to send it forward. There's no passing. There's no dribbling. It's just get the ball. It's like a hot potato. Get the ball and slam it out. Get rid of it as fast as you can. That's what you typically see in youth soccer. Okay? Second one is pigeonhole. This means little Johnny is only ever going to play defense or goalkeeper or striker or left wing or right wing. There's not going to be much rotation of positions. And when they're young kids, they should be playing a whole variety of positions. You could argue maybe not a generational talent if they're that good, but nobody is a generational talent. That is like less than 0.0001%. Okay. So that means they're going to play a single position. One position. This is bad. This is why it's in red. Okay? You're going to see when they go to training, mostly scrimmage. So like during our open clinic yesterday, I had a parent come up to me who was at another club, and he's like, Kyle, what you guys are doing is far and beyond what I'm not going to say the name of this guy's club, but for his son. And he's like, because all they do the entire time is scrimmage. And I'm like, well, scrimmaging isn't necessarily a bad thing, but there's better use of your time. So if your teams are just scrimmaging and they're scrimmaging, say, 7v7, 9v9, you're not getting a lot of benefit because you're going to see a lot of kickball. They're going to be pigeonholed into a position. And then if they're just scrimmaging, how do you expect them to improve skills? Well, again, I always talk about the average American soccer player. The average American soccer player doesn't have skill, very low level skill, so they cannot dribble, they cannot pass correctly, and they, of course, if they can't do those two, they can't receive the ball. It's a problem. Okay, and then the last piece of this is, you'll see that I see this all the time. You'll go to organizations and they'll say, okay, we're working on technique today, or we're doing a technical warm-up, and it's always passing, even at these age ranges. And I'm like, can we just give every kid a ball? Which I'll get to in a second. So I just want to make sure that we understand this piece, right? So this is what everybody else does. Okay, and here's how we define the development piece. So moving forward, training style and focus. So I've left it blank to try and fill this in with you as we do it. Okay, so the first thing is, how do they train? What are they doing? What does the sessions look like? My humble opinion, this is what we teach, okay? U9 to U11, and anything below that, so that would be like U8, U7, U6, U5, U4, we do not go above, or I should say the focus is 1v1 and 2v2, and then you'll also see things like 2v1. That's all we want to do. That's it. From a game structure, 1v1, 2v2, 2v1. Okay? And actually, I'll share this with you right now if you're listening, or if you listen to this later. There's a book I highly recommend you read. I think this book is worth millions of dollars. I think you can get it on Amazon for $50. It's called the Croatian Football Federation, so from Croatia, Development Curriculum. And this is the exact curriculum book that they gave all their clubs to follow to develop players. And that's how they developed world-class talent and reached a World Cup final, World Cup semi-final, Nations League final, and produced a Ballon d'Or winner in 2018. Okay, so U9 to U11, 2v1. You're going to want to see technical training. So not just passing patterns, but like for us, this means basically at these age ranges, it's mostly every kid, player, and ball, right? This is going to be probably 60% of the time. At these age ranges, every player and a ball, right? And they're just getting maximum touches. You could even still focus on passing someone if you wanted to. But this is what the philosophy is going to look like, right? So this is the key thing here. Then I'm going to tell you, you might want to see some coordination, right? So basic motor movements. Right? How do we move our arms? What about in relation with our feet? How do we do all that? Right? Improve the coordination aspect. And then the last thing, competition. Right? But guess what? This does not have to be on a high scale. This could be 2v2, 3v3, and I'll explain in a second, or 4v4. I'm not a big fan of 4v4 at this age, but if you wanted to, I understand. But what we do, this is how we do it. So let's say we have 12 players, right? We can split teams. We can have 4 teams of 3, as an example. Just some quick math. What we do is they play a tournament. So it could be 2 separate fields where they're both playing. Winning team plays, it's like a tournament, like a Champions League. Or you could do it where, even if you have 4 teams, you could have 2 teams play. The first team to score wins. That team stays on. So that means the 2 teams that are off don't play until it's cycled in, which means they have to win to stay on because it's competition. Okay, so that's what we're looking at when it comes to training style and focus, especially in that age range. So again, looking at, I'll just put it here. Let's just say U5 to U12. If I hit the right button, 12. Just like that, U5 to U12. Bam! Right here. So when you want to do small-sided games, 1v1, 2v1, 2v2, done. Tournament format at the end, if you want to do it at the end or whenever you do it. 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, boom, done. That's it. Right, and then technical. I said every player with the ball. There's way more that goes into that, but focused on dribbling, especially at the younger ages. And I can explain why later. Coordination. Boom. Okay? This is what I would define as a development-focused coach, club, if they're doing things like this that meet this barometer. And I've just kind of covered the whole thing for you. Okay, now let's look at game model and playing philosophy. So, I mentioned previously about the 97%. Now we're going to be looking at, let's call it, like I said before, put it here, the 3%. Okay? Because I was at a tournament the other week ago, And every team is booting, kicking, sending the ball. So it's control it, smash it forward, or boot it forward, or send it forward, or whatever. Okay, well, that looks great now because you win, but that is not development. So this is where this whole framework comes into play. So, looking at this is how we define it. Okay? Kids or players have freedom. So it's not, I'm going to put it in red here as well. So I'm going to put an X. It's not robotic. It's not joystick. So, as an example, there was a lady I was having a conversation with on Instagram the other day. I don't remember her name, but she was like, well, I want to see my coach during the games. And I'm like, well, what do you define as coaching? And she's like, well, I want to see him up and talking to the kids. And I'm like, well, okay, this is kind of backwards because the game is for the kids. Like, if we think about it in a different context, the game is a test, right? Training is like the homework and the prep, so to speak. The game is the test, right? Well, when you go to school and you take a test, the teacher or the parents or coach is not talking to you through the test, right? I mean, when I was in school, nobody talked to me through a test. And then you might argue, well, what about an open book test? Well, that was based on my notes. So the things that I wrote down, I got to use in my test. So that's still my knowledge. It was just open book. So I don't ever remember taking a test where I had somebody give me the answers. So pass to Johnny, dribble, shoot, where everybody's telling you what to do. This is not what we're looking to achieve here. We want to give kids freedom. We're not trying to create robots or joystick. And in fact, there's a phrase that my dad used to coach as well a couple years ago. And he said a phrase because he had parents that was joysticking and berating from the sideline. And so he said, if you want your child coming to you for the rest of your life to solve all of their problems, keep talking to them during the game. So when I heard him say that, I was like, holy shit, that's pretty good. I mean, there's more to it. I'm giving you like the trimmed down version of it. But he's like, we want to have kids that have the freedom to make their own decisions, because even if they don't play football in life, so they're not a professional, they don't go to college and play, at least they can still make their own decisions where they don't have to come to you as mom and dad to make better decisions. Okay? So just keep that as reference, right? So we don't want to create robots, we don't want to create joystick, okay? So let me also add to that. Freedom includes the ability to dribble or pass. So they can choose to dribble or pass. They don't have to pass, they don't have to dribble. Freedom. Okay? Players are going to rotate positions, especially at this range. Rotate positions. Okay, and again, think about learning. We're trying to create a learning environment. So if we're going to create a learning environment, the kids, the players, need to be able to play a variety of positions to learn. And this is where I talked about pigeonhole before. When kids play one single position, so let's say a defender, right? So you only play center back in the 7v7. You don't learn how to attack, to score goals, maybe on a set piece, right? But otherwise, you're stuck in the back. So you really only defend, maybe transition to attack, transition to defense for sure, and you don't really ever attack. So you got to play different positions to get all those key elements from the game. Okay, and then the last one, I'm going to use this term loosely because I think it's important to have, but you can't expect kids at this age to do it. So I'm going to put it here just for simplicity's sake. Possession style play. Okay? Now, this is why I said loosely. I am never going to expect that kids are going to be able at this age, so let's say 6 to 10, to really play possession. Right? I'm not counting passes. Hey, let's get 10 passes before we score. I might say, hey, can we get the ball from the left to the right? Okay. But the key thing is really, I'm going to put it in green for you, we want the ball on the floor. This is what we want. We want possession, just means the ball on the floor. We're not looking to smash balls in the air. We're looking to put the ball on the floor, dribble, pass. That's it. But who makes that decision? The players, not the adults on the sideline, coach or parents. Now, what I do want to add is a good coach, in my opinion, from my experience for doing this for almost 10 years, is a good coach is going to do kind of a couple of things. Let the kids play, but also give short and precise feedback. So this would be an example. If I have kids not going back on defense, I'm going to say, Jonathan, go back, right? Name and quick action. Jonathan, back. Boom. 2 words. Jonathan, back. Right? Or if I need Jimmy to go forward, Jimmy, up. And it's a quick thing, but I'm not sitting there saying, okay, Jimmy, step left, Jimmy, step right, Jimmy, shoot it, Jimmy, run, Jimmy, hit. It's a quick action. Because the thing that we have to remember is, as adults, we're standing on the sideline. I get a 180 view. You get a 180 view. And the kids get this. They get tunnel vision. They can't see the game the same way we can see the game on the outside. So just understand that, okay? So we can't expect them to be executing at a high level at this age. It won't happen. Like, we can't pretend, or we shouldn't say, oh, we want these kids to play like Barcelona, like when they had Xavi, Messi, Iniesta, and Messi, and whoever else I didn't say already, Busquets, okay? It's just not going to happen, obviously. Okay, but this hopefully highlights what we're looking for from the game model and playing philosophy. Now, you might ask, what about playing time? Okay, good question. I don't want to put a hard and fast rule. I think this a lot depends on the level of the kid, the players, the level of the team, and the commitment from the parents. So let's just put a rough estimate. This is not the end-all be-all. This is just a rough estimate. This age range, let's talk about, on a typical team, 50% playing time. Now, that could be less. So it could be less. It could be more. Right? It just depends. There's a lot of factors that go into that, like I've already previously mentioned. What's the level of the player? What's the level of the team? What's the commitment? Are they missing practice? Are they attending every practice? Are they late? There's a bunch of stuff that go into it. Okay, but this hopefully summarizes game model and playing philosophy for 3% when it comes to defining development. So let's look at the next one here. Okay, coach interactions. Fantastic. So let's define this. We want a coach that is positive. All right, that's important. Especially in this age range when we're talking about U6 to U12. Now, I would also add, we want a coach that's firm. And by firm, I'm referring to, like, you have rules, the kids need to follow the rules. We don't just give them freedom to do anything. That's why there's structure, right? But they got to be positive. So by positive is, hey, good job. It's okay. Keep going. Okay. And oops. Hit the wrong button. I'm going the wrong way. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, back to this. Positive and firm. Okay. But I think this is the key phrase here. I'm going to put it in purple for you. Meet the kids, meet the kids, or players, whatever word you want to use to describe it, at their level. So I'll expand on this. Okay? Like within my own organization, we have, for example, 2 teams at 2014, which is U10. We have a 2014, let's just call it gold, and then 2014 bronze, silver. Okay? We have to meet the kids at their level. So if we're meeting the kids at the bronze and silver level, you're going to need a lot more fun, a lot more positive, a lot more good reinforcement. Right? Whereas the gold level team, we can probably be a little bit more stern, a little bit more disciplined, a little bit more harder because the level of player is higher, the demand is higher, and the execution is higher. Okay, but we have to meet the kids at their level. That's the most important thing. Okay, the other thing that I would want to see, sorry, wrong color, is I would want to see, and I'm trying to think how to best write this for you, but like, how do they actually interact with my son? Right, so are they just screaming and yelling? Argh! Or are they like, hey, it's okay, you made a mistake, get back in there, get back to work, it's okay. Right? Those are the type of things that I would want to see at that age range, unless they're doing just like, pardon my French, but stupid shit. Right? Like acting like a fool or doing things they're not supposed to do. But if I'm talking about in a positive direction and they're doing what they need to do, then boom, follow this. Cool. Okay, but and I'm trying to think how to write this, but it's like how you would step into this. It would be, it's why it's called coaching interactions, but Let's just put managing kids or managing players. How do they go about managing the player? Right? Especially at the younger ages, you might have to have a coach that drops on his knee and meets the kid because he's crying because he missed a goal. Hey, it's okay, bud. And I'm gonna tell you a secret trick. I'm actually gonna do this later too, but I'll tell you now. So let's say you got a kid that's crying, right? Bawling, crying because he got kicked, or he missed a goal, or he gave up a goal. Whatever the situation is, the kid is crying. He's clearly not injured, right? So injured is he can no longer play because he's broken leg, something like that. So he's either hurt because he got kicked, or he made a bad mistake or missed or whatever. When you have a child that's doing that, here's a trick, and this is something that I learned a long time ago, probably 4 years ago, is you got to get them to think about something else. So you got a kid that's bawling, crying. I mean, crying. I had a kid yesterday crying like hell, right? You get him to sit down, you get him to relax for a second. They're still crying, obviously. You ask him this question. So use this if you're a coach. Even if you're a parent, you got a kid that's crying. I've done this so many times, it's magic. You say, what did you have for breakfast? Boom. There's crying. They go, they might still cry a little bit, but they kind of stop. And they have to think. And sometimes they'll say, if they're really upset, they'll be like, I don't know. And you go, okay, no problem. What did you have for breakfast? I need you to think about it. Boom, pause. They'll maybe still cry a little bit, maybe stop. I had cereal. Okay, what kind of cereal? I had Cocoa Puffs. Dude, you had Cocoa Puffs? You didn't invite me over? Why didn't you invite? I love Cocoa. Right, you're trying to connect with the kid on a different level. So that's the word I should use. Connection. Right? Can you connect with the kid? Can the coach connect with the kid? Right, so kid's crying. Man, Cocoa Puffs. Cool. Man, I love Cocoa Puffs. So like yesterday, kid's crying. What'd you have for breakfast? I don't even remember what he said. But for lunch, he said, I had steak. I'm like, bro, you had steak for lunch? Hell yeah, I had steak. He said, yeah, coach, I had steak. I'm like, bro, you don't call me. I'm a vegetarian, by the way. I was like, you don't call me for steak. I love steak. He started laughing. He's like, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, no, for real, bro. I'm like, dude, how are you not going to tell me you have steak? And I started telling everybody, dude, this man had steak. He didn't let nobody. All the kids were like, what? You had steak? Kids stopped crying immediately. Right? It's tricks to get the player to get over the mental, because it's just mental at that point. Like they're breaking down. They're crying. They're upset. They're breaking down. Can you connect with the kid? Can you manage them? And positive and firm. This is what you want to look for when it comes to development. Can you meet the kid at their level? This is where the coaching interaction comes into play. So, meet the kids, the players, at their level. Hopefully that makes sense. This is what you want to see. Okay? And that's kind of the summary, right, of this whole thing. So, defining development. We've defined that we want to player-centric. We want to focus on individual development. This is for like 3v3, 4v4, 77, 99 using U.S. Soccer's pathway. We're focused on the training style and the focus, the game model and playing philosophy and coach interactions. Just to recap real quickly with you, what we don't want them to do, what we want to see from the training style and focus, the game model and philosophy, what we want to see in the game, and then coach interactions, what we want to see. Okay? And this is like the summary of what we're looking for. So if you found tremendous value from this, especially with tryouts coming out, now you have a better idea of how we define development and what to actually look for. Because the key thing is, I've always said this, I will continue to say it, you need to find a coach that knows how to develop and cares. Okay, that want to try to do the right thing, because most places, unfortunately, will not. Point is, though, if you found value from this video, I would greatly appreciate if you could share it with somebody to help them, let's just say, wake up and realize what's going on and to make better decisions. Okay, so without further ado, guys, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.